Hello everyone out there in TMR land. We are here in the suburbs of Chicago talking with two former Disney Imagineers employees and just creative minds of Disney. So we're gonna talk to Suzanne and RJ Ogren. Let's go guys, we're gonna have a little tour and just do all kinds of fun stuff. It'll be a fun day.
All right, I'm gonna start with the fact that first when I got on at Disney World in the early 70s, I was a monorail pilot.
Not for very long.
Only for 3 months because I got very lucky and interviewed for and got the job as one of the 4 audio animatronic artists that worked in a studio behind Small World. So we actually put the skins on the pirates, bears, ghosts, any figure you saw, we worked on it. The fiberglass figures like in Peter Pan, Snow White, Mr. Toad. We were certified scuba divers and we dove in 20,000 leagues into the sea. And yes, I did put paint on a figure underwater once. That's another story. So that was basically our job, and we were management. Our only bosses, Wathel Rogers, Mark Davis, were people that came from the Hollywood studios every few months and would spend a few days with us. How long I worked there? I was there only just over 4 years, and we were training artists to work on Epcot, and because of things that were changing, I decided it was a good time to go out on my own, and I've been on my own ever since.
And Suzanne, how about yourself?
Well, when he stopped working on monorails, he talked to his supervisor because they were very sorry that he was leaving, excited for his promotion, and they said, I wish we could find somebody like you to replace you, and he said, I know somebody better. I don't know about that, but that's what he said.
I did.
And they said, who? And he said, my wife. She's been trying to get a job with Disney, and I know she would love it. And I get a phone call at home from the casting department saying, I understand that you want to work at Disney, and I've had this odd phone call from a supervisor in monorails that says I'm supposed to call you and hire you for them. Okay. He comes home and I said, what did you do? And anyway, I ended up working on monorails for 1.5 years while I was trying to get a position in the entertainment department, because I was an actress and a dancer, and I'd always wanted to be one of the characters or a dancer on stage, and I got to do both as a character, as it turned out. And I was able to do that for about 1 year, had some injuries. We had a very small child at home who did not want mommy to work. So I left for 5 years, thinking my Disney career was short but fun and over, and 5 years later I was back and ended up working there for another 11 years in entertainment management behind the scenes. Even though I loved what I did, my boss was great, I went back and worked at the Haunted Mansion. For the last 1.5 years I was there and loved it. Very varied career, doing all kinds of different things and meeting all kinds of wonderful, talented people, and I wouldn't trade the experience for anything.
Now let's take a quick peek and meet RJ Ogren and see his creative space. So here is RJ.
Hi, I'm RJ.
It's your creative space, not mine.
The other part with Suzanne. And this is where I do all my creations in my studio, my Disney studio. My easel here, I have pictures everywhere. There are, did you see photos? Yes. We have old license plates that were on our cars years ago when we actually worked at Disney.
Big Al.
Big Al, yeah.
Yes, that actually
Blood on
was
the
a
saddle.
ceramic piece I found and I painted him.
I did not see these earlier. You had just mentioned
I can't believe
these.
you missed those. Those are actual Mickey Mouse feet and hands that were worn by the costume character at Disney World in 1978, 79. And I have those because they were being discarded, because they always would make new ones. They wear out quickly.
Of course.
And you can actually see the tennis shoe inside the shoes there.
Brilliant.
and now the hands are made out of cloth material. But I was doing a prototype figure of Jiminy Cricket for the costume department at Disney World. And I made the head, the hat, everything three-dimensional. We brought one of the characters out to put it on.
Sure.
And then we got old Mickey Mouse feet and hands, which are those. And they animated, and of course, part of the story is they kept saying the figure was too big. I went, well, Mickey Mouse is 6 foot tall, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, when we were all done, I got to keep the hands and feet.
Now, just a segue, what are those made of? I mean,
These are a foam.
oh, okay.
Okay, this is like a urethane foam.
Got
That's
it.
pliable.
Oh, wow. So they have minimal
So,
movement.
They did have movement, and you can see it cracking. See,
Oh, yeah,
I've actually
don't ruin that on
repainted
yourself.
these ones, so I'm very careful with these now. And the shoes actually are in much better shape. I've had to do a little repair on this part here because
Give
it
that to
broke
Ryan,
loose.
you can have an idea of what these
But
weighed on.
You can see how much that weighs.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Like I figured they were clompers, but this is,
Ridiculous.
yeah, no, that's like a whole new loafer right
yeah,
there.
and this actually is a pliable bottom, but it's very solid.
Is this?
It's,
I mean, I'd say
it's
that's kind
it's a
of rubber, yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff they used to make the fruit out of years ago, the fake
Oh,
fruit.
yeah.
And actually, the fake apples, the apples we would use in Snow White.
Oh, Mickey left something in there. Oh, cheat. Mm.
These magicians are all alike. In fact,
I
speaking
don't know
of,
anything about
can
fake
you
foods.
see the apple up there?
Oh.
This apple actually was given to me. It was taken out of Snow White's Scary Adventure. Yes, that
Yeah,
was the one she held over the cauldron. And one of the funny stories in our books I write about is how the apple kept disappearing and how I tried to outsmart the guests and gave up because not only would the apple go missing, then her hand went missing, and then her whole arm went missing. And so we just went back to replacing the apples. And that is that same pliable rubber type material they use. I don't know.
Now, behind me there are a few more, but we're going to talk about those in a little later. But there are these. Now, these are original?
These are prints. These are limited edition prints. These are the originals that were done by Mark Davis, who was one of our bosses from the Hollywood studios. Mark Davis, of course, created Tinkerbell and Cruella de Vil and Maleficent for the movies, among other figures. But he also was involved with the concept art for the Haunted Mansion and for just about everything, Pirates of the Caribbean and on and on. And I was thrilled to get these two. I wanted to get all four. Suzanne and I wanted to get all four, but they didn't have the other two. So we keep threatening our friend in Louisville that we were going to steal because she has the full set. So anyway, that's what those are. In case you're wondering, I'm a Vietnam vet, and that was actually the helmet I wore and my camera that I shot pictures in Vietnam with.
That was before you went to work at Disney.
Before I went to work at Disney. The shield here, 1776, 1976, was on the lampposts on Main Street at Walt Disney World for the bicentennial, and they sold them only to the employees after they were taken down. When I heard about it, I ran to the place to buy one.
With all of the fun stories told, what was maybe one of your least favorite memories or most challenging situation?
Oh, wow.
okay.
It would have to be the Haunted Mansion when we did the rehab.
Oh, yeah.
Which was an unscheduled rehab because of the bullet
Listen.
holes in the glass, and the glass in the grand ballroom had to be taken out, shattered to the floor, and thrown out the back. And they had to bring in new glass. Well, that took 3 weeks, so we just went ahead and did a whole rehab of the entire place. And the most challenging, though, was at the very end when the attraction was ready to open, and I went up to do a walkthrough that morning. And as I started to go up the grand staircase where you load into and go into the ride, I see a guy cleaning a chandelier, and he's cleaning all the cobwebs off of it. And I said, please tell me that's the only one you've done. and stopped doing that. And he says, oh no, we've been doing this all night. They had cleaned all the fake and real cobwebs
And
off
dust.
of everything and dusted the whole mansion so it was pristine. And I ran back to the studio and, you know, down, because we were right near the Haunted Mansion, our studio, and I ran back and told them. They thought I was kidding. And when we got back up there and saw what had happened, we had to close the attraction for 3 more days. And the 4 of us put on basically hazmat type suits so we could dust the whole mansion with powder. That was fun. Actually, it wasn't. And then we cobwebbed, but we ended up redoing the whole mansion. The cobwebbing was fun.
Now, you had mentioned the bullet holes in the glass. Now, I know there's a whole hubbub on the internet of glass was broken, wasn't broken, and it was in Disneyland, wasn't in Disneyland. Do you want to just give a 2-minute clarification of that?
Over a 4-year period that I was there, the first year we got a bullet hole in one of the sheets of glass. It was, when you're facing the ballroom, grand ballroom, it was on the far left. And then the next year, we had a bullet hole in the next sheet of glass. And this is at your eye level as you're riding through. Then the 3rd year, we had a ball bearing that was, we think, done with a slingshot, hit the glass on the far right. Each time this happened, we made a black spider and glued it to the hole so you wouldn't see it, and put monofilament line up to the ceiling so it looked like the spider was coming down. That was great. The 4th year, somebody threw something at the glass. I'm not going to say what, and it hit one of the bullet holes in that weak spot, and it cracked the glass all the way across, which ruined the whole illusion. So hence they had to shatter the glass and throw it all out behind the Haunted Mansion and take the roof off and drop in new sheets of glass, and that took weeks for that to transpire. And 3 of us all have a piece of that glass. I have one in my studio. Figures here, which I then painted after they were given to me when I left Disney too, and they put new ones on. They were on the moon.
The moon.
That we made. Yeah, I wrote
That's
a
beautiful.
whole story about why those were on there, and it was a full moon at the time. They've since gone back to the fiberglass.
And these 4 beautiful pieces right here. I might take those. I might. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, and you're
This is
holding
the-
it in front of your monorail wings there.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
That's to test the tensile strength of the beams. I always wonder if they do that enough, if they actually ruin
If
the
the beam
tensile
just,
strength.
you know.
How many of these things did you do?
No, we only
no.
did it about once a year.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to move Mickey. This is the piece of glass from the Haunted Mansion, which I've written on,
Oh, wow, yeah.
so that years from
People
now
know
somebody
right.
goes, "What is this?" And you can see the
1980.
You
thickness.
can see how thick it is.
And that's kind of
Yeah,
what
it
I was
actually-
intrigued with.
Yeah, it was.
That's some nice glass.
Yeah, and it was the last rehab I worked on.
Oh,
That's right,
beautiful.
it was.
So they buried all the glass,
By the way, you
but
talked
it was
about
out
the
behind the
Russian
Haunted
store
Mansion,
when we see the animators
Mhm.
in the
in a
studios.
big pile.
And they had that
And
beautiful shop
because it was
there.
right near our studio,
I
we
bought
just
this for
kind of
Virgin
strolled
because
over
I
and
thought that was the coolest
Yeah.
picked up a
postcard
piece.
of Mickey watching Walt drawing when Walt.
This is my good side. Hi, folks. No, yes, when everybody sees me on my Friday afternoon shows where I paint and I tell stories about Disney and everything and working there, first thing I do is I get my pot full of water, and I got to tell you, I wasn't very good at ceramics in college, but so this is the only pot I ever made on the wheel, and it weighs a ton, but it's great for water. And then I get my brushes ready, and this is a pot our good friend Holly bought for me that looks like a paint bucket, so I added Mickey Mouse on there. So when I get all that stuff set up and I'm ready to paint, I of course put the stretch canvas on the easel here, and I can vary the height of this easel so that it makes it the right height. And then I decide which brush I'm going to use, and I'm ready to go, and I start painting.
Awesome.
In a nutshell.
You did these needle points though, didn't you, Susan?
Yeah, needlecraft. It's not actually a needle point, but yeah, I did this, and there's a couple in the bathroom too that I did. And...
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's head up to your space.
Okay.
Oh boy.
This thing, for some reason, the shelves in this have never fallen. Okay, never been off kilter, never anything. We're sitting in the living room, minding our own business. This thing came loose. This came out, shattered. I was beside myself. I'm like, oh my God, there was water all over the floor. It took you how many years? Like 5 years to find something you could use to put a globe back on it. Of course, it doesn't have water in it anymore.
And that was designed
But
by Mark.
this was designed by Mark, and it meant so much to RJ.
And then Alice Davis and I were talking, and Alice says, our globe broke too.
Same way. Alice said Mark never liked this thing.
Give us a tour. Point out some of your
Okay,
most
well,
favorite.
I love this space because it's very small, and it's every single wall has inspiration for me when I'm writing. I have a story that I tell in one of our books about, and this was true, when we would go into a parade each day, because back then the characters did sets, we did shows up in front of the castle, we did parades, we did publicity photos, we did everything. Nowadays they're all kind of compartmentalized, and I find that kind of sad because I love doing all those different things. But anyway, when we would get ready for parade, we would take towels that are about the size of a good size hand towel. We would put them in ice water, wring them out, use safety pins to attach them inside our costumes to our bodies. And that helped keep the heat down while we were on stage.
Yeah.
In the parade. When it was over and we were backstage and pulling our heads off and taking our costumes out, we would unhook these and throw them in a big pile along with everybody else's pile of towels, and the thing would get to be about this high.
Wow.
And you could look back at it and steam would be rising out of it because that's how warm it was and how it was.
Ooh.
But we always said if we didn't have that, I don't know that I ever would have made it through a parade. No, this is actually in a parade. This was actually Mickey's 50th birthday parade. And we would stop on Main Street. We would stop about 4 or 5 places throughout the route and do a dance. And that's us dancing. You can't tell we're dancing, but we were. This is just during a set with all the crazy people I worked with. I am still good friends with several of the people that I worked with at Disney all these years later. And later on in my career, when I was working in management, I was working for a man who was the head of transportation for a couple of years, and he gave me this picture of all the monorails outside the roundhouse at the back of the Magic Kingdom property. And that was taken the very first morning that Disney World was open for business. But I love this picture because Mickey is in it. And it's all the creative entertainment people that I was working with at that time. This was in convention entertainment, and that was taken in the Contemporary Hotel, I think. This picture here of the adorable 7 dwarfs, I'm the cute one right there, was taken at 7 o'clock in the morning in the Magic Kingdom down in front of the castle on the grass. And that grass was very wet. And we had these big, very heavy shoes on. And our biggest worry was that we were just going to kind of slide down into the water. Luckily, that did not happen. This picture was on everything from placemats to calendars to postcards. It was around for a very long time, actually until they changed the character costumes. The dwarfs' costumes are different now. They're smaller, lighter. If you turn around up there, up on top of the window there, you can see my Mickey ears. And those are the 5 beanie characters that I did the most often. White Rabbit was the very first thing I ever did in a parade after my training was over. Thought I would die in that costume, it was so hot. Then Bernard and Bianca from the Rescuers I did quite often. Sleepy was my favorite, and actually my permanent, what they called a permanent costume. But there were times when we had to do others. And then Mr. Smee was not only fun to do, because Captain Hook and I could be not so nice to the kids, and in fun, we didn't hurt anybody. Yeah. And he was also the very last character I played before I had to leave characters because of injuries and stuff that I had. I never escaped Disney, and I don't want to, because it's been such a rich part of who I was. And from the monorail pilot to being a character to working in various areas in entertainment management, all of which I loved over the almost 14 years I was at Disney World. There's the guy that's my mascot and sits and looks at me when I'm working, you know. And he's over here, he's asleep, and there he's, you know, I mean, he's everywhere. Sleepy is everywhere. And my husband will always tell people, she was a character, and I said, yeah, I still am, I just don't get paid for it anymore.
So you were a dwarf, but you grew up.
So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Then we got to do these wonderful books, thanks to Theme Park Press and its publisher, Bob McLean. And it was all about the early decades of Walt Disney World, which we were a part of. And we have gotten so much exciting response on these books. And because of the Disney books, I finally got my novel published too. So if anybody likes fiction, please read Ribbons. You can get it through Theme Park Press. It's very good, character-based.
Was there ever a character that you wanted to play?
Yeah, I wanted to play a chipmunk. But at that time, the chipmunks were very big. They have since made the chipmunks much smaller, which we always thought was kind of goofy because chipmunks are not gigantic, taller than Mickey characters. Finally, after I was in management, we used to have Christmas parties for the employees in the Magic Kingdom, and management people would take over some of the hourly employees' jobs so that they could go enjoy the party with their families. And I always said, please, I want to do a character. It's what I used to do. And this one year, I actually got to do a chipmunk. I was so excited. I said, I didn't get to do it when I was actually a character, but I finally got to be a chipmunk. And RJ actually has pictures of me doing it and video.
Great video. Yeah.
And the neatest thing was our son was out there that night when he shot that. Our son at that time was 16, and he was 2 when I was a character. So that was pretty cool.
No, not to throw everything off and get into a different story. I actually had Dale try to perform magic for me. We went to the Garden Grill. I did some magic for him, and then he proceeded to do his version of magic.
I'm sure that was comical.
Dale of course. He had to come back just to show us his magic trick.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Which was, it was unreal. Unreal.
It was good.
Favorite. I have a lot of really wonderful memories of working at Disney, no matter how hard the job was or how hot it was. But I think the one I remember the most fondly was my parents were huge Disney fans and had annual passes and were always out there. They were out there more than we were, I think. And my parents never got to see me perform in costume until actually the last day I was in costume. I did Mr. Smee, and I have pictures. Where's that picture? There it is. That was the day. That's my mom and dad and me in that picture over there in front of the castle. And since my parents have not been around now for a very long time, I still look at that picture and remember that day and think, I didn't know that was my last day at that moment, but that is my favorite picture of me ever, because they were part of that. And they'd always been such supporters to me of my creative efforts. And I just thought it was neat. They were so excited that I was doing this, you know, more excited than I was, I think. You did, though. You went out in a costume one day as part of a management program. And I was there taking pictures of him, and he was Blue the Bear, and I was laughing the entire time going, ha ha, now he's going to know what I do for a living. Being in the electrical light parade, which was great fun, however, challenging because when the electrical light parade started, well, I'm sure they still do it, all the lights go out on the street. The only lights you have are the ones that are on the floats. Now, if you're in the dark on Main Street with nothing but float lights, you can't see very well. And if you're in a dwarf costume, which I usually was, I did also do Cinderella mice in that parade once in a while, you don't have that much vision to start with, okay? Your peripheral vision is totally gone, and you only have a small little window of what you can see. And of course, you can't do this and look down because that doesn't look very good. So it was a challenge every night doing that parade, making sure you weren't going to walk into a float or run into a kid sitting on the curb, you know. And it was a challenge. It was fun, but it was weird too. I still remember that parade. I loved doing that parade, but It was kind of scary every night to think, oh God, please don't let me hurt a small child.
Okay, and now back to just some personal favorites. Maybe your favorite dining experience and favorite attraction.
To this present day or back then?
All of the above.
Oh.
Well, I think present day would be our 50th wedding anniversary. We had dinner
2
at the
years
Brown
ago.
Derby,
Yeah.
and it at the studios, and it was incredible.
I mean,
It was an
she was
incredible
dressed in this
experience.
beautiful dress. I had on a suit and tie and a vest.
We got lots of attention from everyone.
I mean, we couldn't recreate that.
No,
That
we
was
couldn't. It was wonderful.
spectacular.
But back in the day, I think our favorite place to go eat when we always went to the Magic Kingdom with the kids, we would always get there early enough to have breakfast at the Crystal Palace.
Yes.
And we still miss that because
only
now
cost
it's
a
a
few
character
dollars.
breakfast. So
Yeah, only cost a few dollars.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And a favorite attractions.
Oh, I know what he's going to say. Well, you have two, though.
I have
don't
two. I have to say it too. It's Peter Pan and the Haunted Mansion.
Good
and,
ones.
Yeah.
you? Yeah. And mine is also Peter Pan, believe it or not. I don't know why, but it just is.
That's because of me.
Yeah, it is.
I'll never grow
He'll
up.
never grow up, but that's a good thing, actually.
I'm just a little kid.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having this little
Oh, thank
discussion with
you.
us.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for
Enjoyed
opening
it.
your home to us. Thank you just for all the fun stories and all that.
Our absolute pleasure. This has been fantastic. Thank you
Yeah.
both.
Well, that's it for TMR Chair Chat here with RJ Ogren and Suzanne talking about their stories and time at Walt Disney World. If you want more on that and their books, check out rjogren.com, as well tmrproductionstudios.com for more videos and fun from around Disney World. We will see you next time, guys, with a TMR tour or a TMR Chair Chat. Congaloosh.